Aaron, as a player with Armagh and Crossmaglen, what were the frustrations and challenges playing for both teams?
I think the most obvious one was the overlapping seasons, to wait for your All-Ireland club semi-final and final if you're fortunate enough to get there. It meant that you missed all or large parts of the National League campaign for Armagh. While I was extremely fortunate to have won 7 Ulster club titles while I was playing county football, that meant that I practically missed 7 national leagues, and for me I feel that there's better alternatives that allow players to still participate to their maximum for both without having the same conflict of interests.
What continues to motivate you to stay involved with the CPA and push for change?
Well, first and foremost, I've always been a club man. Crossmaglen has been probably one of the reasons why I was fortunate to get to the level that I got at. I love playing county football. It was, I suppose, what everyone aspires to do, but for me I still want to remain heavily involved in the GAA, whether that is at club or county level. Long past my playing days, I still see myself getting involved in coaching, maybe administration down the line, but I just think for the longevity of our sport and for the betterment of it, I think that there is better alternatives out there, and that's really why I got involved. I was asked to give an insight into someone who was fortunate enough to have played club and county and to be relatively successful at both. That was my initial involvement. From, I suppose, now it's trying to see if we can get our message out there to try and enhance or entice the powers to be, to maybe let our voice be heard a bit, and between the whole lot of us come together to have a better fixture list, particularly for our club players, to allow our games to thrive further than they currently do.
What do you think are the benefits of having the club finals in November?
The huge benefit I would find from personal experience would be that the momentum gain from winning provincial titles, it then carries on. At the moment you have about a 2.5 month wait between a provincial final and an All-Ireland semi-final, and all the buzz and the hype in your local community unfortunately dies down with your Christmas break, and it's tough to build that same buzz and excitement back up. To have a calendar year would mean that your provincials roll straight in, carry the same momentum in the communities, but also nationwide among the neutrals of our association, that it all builds towards what we would see as being a festival of our games for both football and hurling across all codes in junior, intermediate and senior. And I think it would be a fitting conclusion to your annual GAA calendar to allow everyone downtime in December before going to do it all again the following season.
Chrissy, obviously CPA is important to you down here today. What does it mean to you?
Look, it just means that the club player has a chance to actually showcase his concerns, and the biggest concern for the vast majority of club players throughout the country is the fixture predicament. It would be nice to see change in the playing calendar year. At the minute, the way things are going, it's just complete chaos. There is no start and finish for a lot of players, and the CPA have drawn up very specific regulations in terms of the calendar year, and to me that's a very progressive change. It would add clarity, and it would take away from the disillusionment of many players. For instance, if you're going on a run with your club into an All-Ireland series, your playing year could be as long as 15 months. You know, that's not going to be of any use to anyone. So there's many strategies being put forward by the CPA, which its ideals are very, very pure, and the people involved in the CPA are GA people at heart, and the biggest thing for us now is to try and educate everyone and try and bring more awareness to what the CPA is about. If things keep going the way they're going, the dropout rate of the actual players is going to keep diminishing, so change has to happen, and I think the strategies today put forward provide a very proactive way in which things can change, and an example that can be brought forward to the guys in Croke Park to actually produce that change.
As a dual player for club and county, personally, what would you like to see from this?
What I'd like to see from this year is a year that you can look at the start of the year and say, this is when this competition takes place. You can plan your own personal life around it, and as professional as we want to be as athletes, we are amateur athletes, and we have to accept that, and we have to have a balance in our lives. And unfortunately at the minute there's too many players with no balance. I've been guilty of that, probably myself. Everything is just through behind the GA wheel, and it's very difficult to actually plan anything because the fixtures can vary in terms of dates and whatever else. And the biggest thing for me is to have a set time in the year where you can actually look at it and try and peak for a game or try and peak for a competition. One of the big strategies for the CPA is to have the club championships run off completely by the end of November. So you would actually have the month of December free, and if you were a county player then you could have a bit of a break and then focus on the upcoming inter-county year. At the minute there can be no break and whatever else, so I think it's just a common sense approach, and God bless common sense, sometimes it isn't that common.